This is a Play Your Way Network presentation. Get the full story at PlayLifeYourWay.com. In a world where comics, movies, games, rumors, and Kardashians come at you 24/7, three champions will rise to defend you from wasting precious time, money, and emojis. BK, Nate, and Derek will show you how to do it the Player Way.
Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, this is your boy BK. It's on once again, your resident DJ BK, helping you understand how to play your life
The Player Way.
That's right, and I never do this thing alone. I got my co-captains with me along for the ride. My co-captain's Derek.
Man, that is me. You already know. Bending the rules, pushing the envelopes, and you already know it's at Corrupting the System.
And Nate.
That's me. It's very impressive, Derek.
Very impressive. Very impressive. And you know what else was impressive? This weekend, dude, I hate to jump right into it, but this past weekend,
hate it?
I'm going to
really
be,
hate to,
and I'm going to be very sure to make sure that I release this podcast episode like as soon as possible, because there's so much stuff that happened in media this weekend that we just got to talk about.
The weekend was a blitzcast itself. The weekend was a blitzcast itself.
It was, dude. I mean, all right, I know what I was. Y'all know if you pay attention to my Instagram. That's at, excuse me, I just burped right on the camera, at Playerway Podcast on Instagram, then you already know what my Sunday night was filled with.
Man.
But let's go around the circle.
My weekend, I've been slacking on my other three favorite gentlemen in my life who I feel lived the privileged best job ever life, and their names are Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond. And I've been catching up. I let those guys kind of, get a few weeks because they're in season 2 of the Grand Tour. That's what I'm talking about. Jeremy Clarkson.
I saw you on IG Live watching that.
Yeah, I went ahead and just did it live. It was late. I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's quit leaving it between the ears. Let's get it out there if we're going to build a brand. You know what I mean? They
don't want to see us argue. They want to see us working. They want to see how we living for the city.
Shout out to Stevie Wonder and the long version of that song.
Get in there and make me a banana cognac, bitch. Shout out to
I was up late though. I was up late watching that. And just appreciating how far they've come. Those guys. Pause. Those guys really had a 2-decade career with the BBC before Jeremy Clarkson decided to storm off
with the BBC, huh?
Yeah,
the BBC, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
They were definitely cuckolding the BBC. But anyway, I mean, these guys, I don't know if you watched the Grand Tour yet, BK or Nate, but what they do now, instead of it just being in a studio, they travel just to simply different cities over the planet and just do their show from a tent and show their show to the audience.
3 men,
and just all
in the tent.
That's
broke back in it.
No. This think more a tent the size that would hold about 200 people. Because they're doing it right in front of I say 200. It's probably closer to 100, but it's in front of the audience there.
So they're doing it in front of an audience, huh?
They're doing it in front of an audience. All three of them, they're working together. Jeremy's pretty tall, Richard's pretty small, and James is right in the middle. Okay, so you have the different heights and everything to go on.
Goldilocks
just right.
Style.
And they're always talking about how they can fit into certain cars, which ones give the most space, which ones got the most relaxation. Best room to get your head around, really, to get your head.
And they're always studying what's going on from the top down, correct?
That's right, from the top down, and they definitely check out all angles to make sure from the rear is also good as well. Tail lights and headlights and whatnot, and a lot of engines and torque and transmission as well. You got to make sure it's torquing right.
Torque.
I was saying torque. A lot of torquing right. Not to be confused with the cinematic masterpiece titled of the same name, Torque. the cinematic masterpiece.
The player
In case y'all.
exclusive.
Oh, can I just say, since I am all off the rails over here, I wanted to give you guys a specific shout out to y'all's homage to Josh Brolin. I know it's a minute ago, but while I was listening to that one, I was screaming, Jonah Hex! He was in Jonah Hex too. But I'm like, they can't hear me. But anyway, I just got off the rails because the way you had that look of my guy, my dude, just now, the way you look like the Kingpin right now, even though nobody could see, but you look like the Kingpin right now.
Oh, that's what's up, bro.
Yeah. So I just want to throw that all swing around.
That's what's up. I'll do that. Flattery will get you everywhere, my friend.
Always. But yeah, so that's what I've been corrupting the system with. What about you, Nate?
Saturday, there's this sort of block party they do in downtown LA called Night on Broadway. There's a street called Broadway. They shut that shit down. You can walk through. You can go through all the old theaters there. There's different vendors set up, and then you can also bar hop along the way. That was fun. I did watch a bunch of movies. Actually, I caught up on a bunch of movies I wasn't going to watch at the theater, but I did want to see. First one was Jigsaw, which
nice. We can.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of liked it. It was nice seeing. It was nice to step back into that world again. It was definitely better than like
what?
Saw's.
What did you say about that film?
Saw's 5 through 7.
You thought it was good? The movie was a piece
It was okay. Well, look,
it was the worst Jigsaw.
Shooter McGraw.
No.
Breakfast.
Like Saw's 5 through 7, ending with like Saw 3D, were definitely worse than this one. This one was better than those. But
I don't know about that, bro.
I watched Happy Death Day. That was a piece of shit.
Okay. Oh yeah, that one. It looked okay in the first trailer that they showed, and as more trailers came out, it got worse. It was like they gave away the whole movie in the trailer. It was like, let me just guess. Let's give them an exclusive right here on the
exclusive. The player way.
Exclusive. All right, so we're giving them the exclusive. I guess that it was her roommate.
Yes.
Well,
you're right.
Boom.
It was her roommate. You can tell from the trailer.
On top of that, it's like it wasn't the roommate directly. She tried to get someone else to do it.
But it was the fucking roommate.
I know. It's like,
so stupid. I was like, oh my goodness, dude. It was man.
And one movie that was worse than Happy Death Day is fucking Geostorm. This was a piece of shit.
I forgot that movie came out.
This is why I think Gerard Butler movies are direct to DVD. First of all, he plays a fucking scientist. He plays a scientist. Come on. This is worse than Mark Wahlberg playing a fucking teacher in The Happening. It's not gonna. I can't buy it. Let alone a scientist that works out in fucking outer space.
Plan? Did you not look at the agenda here? Are you not paying attention to the whiteboard? What's going on over here? My favorite Mark Wahlberg moment was when him and Adam Sandberg went back and forth as he was imitating Mark Wahlberg Mark Wahlberg on the SNL. That was
Say hi to your mother.
Say hi to your mother for me. I'm telling you, dude.
Yes.
That original Mark Wahlberg talks to animals. Yeah.
Well, yeah. See, now I understand. Now I understand why you like Jigsaw so much. If you watch those pieces of crap, then Jigsaw looks amazing.
Oh yeah, Jigsaw was the best movie I saw all weekend compared to the other two.
But dude, if you had gone to watch it in the theater, you would have been upset. In the context of watching it in the theater, because it was so reach around your back to scratch your elbow to get a bad guy. It was like. You guys could have just prequeled this if you just really wanted to.
Which they kind of did. It was,
they did, but it was weird. And
part of the story was 10 years earlier. The other part was present day. I hold a soft spot for the first Saw 1 that I saw in theaters, and that to me is still I love that movie. Man. So I'll watch all of these if they come out. Yeah.
The first.
I feel so bad that drain, Like anytime you're gonna wake up wild and terrified, like you're not gonna jolt yourself away and just the key going down the drain, just the sheer hope lost. But he didn't know.
Dude,
but
as
he didn't know that all
sawing
hope was
his
lost.
foot off, and that the mute dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah,
God.
Charlie Clouser,
dude,
right,
fucking Jigsaw getting
Hans
up
Zimmer.
off the floor. That
What's
was
that?
it.
Yeah.
When
Oh,
he,
yeah.
starts
Like
to
I
get
never
up,
saw it come. Like
Yeah.
like I refuse to believe there's anyone on this planet that knew that was coming. Like anybody
Yeah.
who says that, I would love arguing them to death. Like prove it. There's no way you assume
Yeah.
the dead body in the room. What? There's just no way. No
No.
way.
The second Jigsaw was really good too.
I really like the
third
second one. The
Jigsaw-
second one, I think, where
that
it
was the
kinda
one with
started.
Donnie Wahlberg, right?
Second one had Donnie Wahlberg, and then he was in sporadically throughout.
Yeah, he was.
Because
The
Donnie
third
was
one
in the
was like
second
the
one,
last
too.
good one, and then from there it was just a tradition. Much in the
Yeah.
same way, kind of like Paranormal Activity. Paranormal Activity, those movies have kind of gotten stupid. They've gotten like, I don't know, like they're. What I like about Paranormal Activities, those films, there's a suspension of disbelief to where you still don't quite know if it's paranormal until that last third of the film where it confirms it for sure. Like it can't be coincidence for sure. It's going down the last third of the film, and you're like, okay, how are they going to get out of it now? Because they're now in it. It's strong upon them. What will they do? So Jigsaw was like that as well. Like where it started getting stupid after they cut his head open. And then he had a wife who was estranged, but then it was weird. It was like, it got really convoluted. And I felt like Jigsaw was the same way, is it was just overly convoluted. And it reminded me of why those films that series needed to stop.
Mm.
So Lionsgate needs something. They need a hit really bad. They were doing really well back when Tyler Perry was still fresh. And black people were still like, he was selling them out all the time. When he was still provocative, Oprah was still in business as far as her show to kind of keep them on the Housewives name. Her show's not really there anymore to kind of help bolster him. So it's interesting the state of Lionsgate and what they're willing to put through. But yeah, amongst
I will say just to, with your Lionsgate thing, they did have a surprise. Well, you wouldn't probably naturally think Lionsgate, but Wonder was actually Lionsgate.
Yeah.
But like I said, when I think Lionsgate, I think of those Gears, the Doors. I think of Saw type of movies, and now they've branched out. The Commuter, even Power Rangers was Lionsgate. You know what I mean?
John
so now
Wick.
it's kind of like they
I like
just
how
have
you
this
were trying to
spectrum of whatever.
rehabilitate Lionsgate.
No.
and then
I wasn't
Power
trying to
Rangers.
I was just trying to say. I was trying to just actually, to your point, you're right.
yeah.
They need a shot in the arm. Like Wonder is a great movie, but I'm surprised that Lionsgate even got the in essence the contract for that. You know what I mean?
It doesn't surprise me that they got the contract for it. It's Wonder is one of those films that is kind of like a contender to be nominated for like a Golden Globe or something like that. But those films are always sleepers. Like they never do incredibly well in the box office. They do okay. Like they do well enough to be a success.
I'm just surprised that Lionsgate, the same place that put out Power Rangers and The Commuter.
Yeah.
I'm never going to do an action film again. What? A movie about a train? All right, I'm in.
Well, I've done one
I
about
love
a plane.
Vince McMahon voice you just did there, man. And Vince McMahon had. I love that Vince McMahon voice you did there. And Vince McMahon
had a weekend.
The best week ever. Because
I missed that show.
To Derek's credit, he called it that that XFL was going to be happening, and Nate and I were like, "Why? Why?"
Everybody should be like, "Why?" Everybody should be like, "Why?" Because we all remember
the way he came with it, man.
Now,
that's what a businessman
yes.
does. That's what I'm telling you. He kind of bridged.
You put it the best, I think. You put it the best because you said he went and did his research.
He did. He did his research, and he showed that. I mean, they had a fresh new logo to show that their brand and identity. I love that he did it. The best sales pitch that he did about the XFL being something fresh and new is that he did the press conference in this digital room. So very similar to how like they did like CGI for like the Phantom Menace, where like there obviously wasn't a lot of, you know what I'm saying? And so I love that when you watch it on this nice 4K television, you're like, this is really cool to look at. Like, I haven't seen any sportscasting with this kind of CGI. And if you watch NFL on Fox, then you know that does matter to guys watching at home. So it shows just a glimpse of what they're capable of doing. He owns his own network. He can have a press conference whenever he feels like it. He can just announce it. He doesn't have to have a whole room full of people to do it. It's just he just rolls out of bed and says, all right, let's have a press conference today at 3 o'clock. Moves everybody, ESPN, everybody's like, okay, what's going on? That is a complete difference from what it was before, because before, Vince McMahon had to wait until he was at the beck and call of NBC because his contract was tied to NBC. So they called the shots. No longer? So
not now.
Not now. So it's the XFL is definitely coming back. We had a really cool special sports rundown earlier in the week to kind of talk about that. Shout out to Larry Lewis, Ian Townsend, who else? Alex Maldonado. For everybody, and Derek, of course, he jumped in as well. For everybody who jumped in there, y'all are definitely doing Play Your Way Network analysis.
The Player Way.
You guys definitely killed it. It was awesome. But yeah, it's really interesting to see. If you're listening to this podcast, we're going to keep you up to date as things happen. Of course, we're not going to hear what's going on until 2020, but I think that the whole point of waiting until 2020 rather than originally when he announced the XFL, it was like coming this spring. It was like it was coming immediately. Whereas now I think what he's trying to do is they're giving plenty of time to get sponsors, get the contracts out there, and then also to start recruiting. I think that's that's my conspiracy theory.
That's what he's doing right now. You're 100% correct, because right now there's a bunch of with regards to the NFL, you have the upper echelon of athletes on the field. You really do. But then you have this thing that happens usually 2 to 3 years after somebody has flashed in the pan to where they're not as relevant, and then teams, for lack of this is the best term. They don't want them. You're not the same player. I don't want to put you on the field. Then you have these guys who are extremely talented that none of the average Joes could touch, but they're fourth on the roster and they're just not important. They could go to the XFL. They can still get a decent salary, still pay, because most of the guys in the NFL, they have no idea how to manage their money. These guys are talented kids that go straight through college, straight to the NFL. So this gives them a huge platform, a huge forum. This is a great way to recruit, because you have players that everyone was curious about, like Tim Tebow, that's already being asked about the XFL.
Dude, that's exactly who came to my mind. I was like, Tim Tebow. The other person that came to my mind was Ocho Cinco. These people who made defect from the NFL. Definitely Larry Lewis actually called it. He called out Colin Kaepernick. There's all of these. I could see Vince McMahon looking at Colin Kaepernick and said, and Tim Tebow and all these guys who would have put butts in seats had there been a place for them to go immediately. T.O. even. I mean, you can give him a little shout out.
Absolutely. I mean, these guys still have talent.
Hold on.
Even those guys do.
Nate is not convinced. Nate,
T.O. and Ocho Cinco. I don't want to watch 45-year-olds
when you
play
say
football.
Ocho Cinco, I couldn't see them. I couldn't see them necessarily.
Kaepernick,
I'll say this,
Tebow,
T.O. probably still can play. T.O. is probably still in
probably
ridiculous
needs
shape.
the fucking money.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we do know T.O. is still ridiculous shape because he was just on this past season of the Road Rules Real World Challenge this past season, where he got embarrassed by one of those guys on the show. One of the guys talked about, he was like, I don't have to be here, and T.O. was like, I don't have to be here either. He's like, well, actually, you do, because you didn't manage your money that well. It was like, oh, and T.O. quit the show live on television. He was like, I'm done. I'm out of here. It's like, too late, man. He done already rung your bell, dude. The best thing you can do is stick around and nail him one good time.
Yeah, just get it in there.
Get it in there.
Johnny Manziel. That's another guy.
Hold on. Let's go back to T.O., but watch your furry brow at T.O., though.
Because he's fucking old. I don't want to watch him play football.
I think you missed what I said. I think Vince looks at guys like that and says, if there was a place for them to have gone when they got kicked out of the NFL. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, technically there is. There's arena football. There's the Canadian League, and he did go there.
That's
I
the
mean,
thing.
what do you think the XFL is going to be on a different echelon of the arena or Canadian League?
And I feel that Vince McMahon has the ability and the pull to get a talent level that's better than Arena Football League. Honestly, because that's one of the things that I said even in my comment. One of the things that I sent to you, BK, I was just like, how many people really watch arena football? Like, I've been to a couple games in my lifetime over probably about 10 years ago, and it's fun to watch. But I still felt like it felt no different than when I played flag football every Saturday for like 8 years. It felt like the
it's
exact
incredibly
same thing out there.
But this is the same thing that happened to the XFL 20 years ago. No one went.
But
what's going to change
XFL,
now?
A lot of people did go to
No
the
one
XFL.
went to the
Yeah.
XFL after the first couple weeks. Why do you think it folded? Ratings
Because
were
back
low.
in
No one went to the
2001,
games.
Everyone had Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, a new dynasty. They had an NFL that was on the premise of dominating the airwaves.
I get
no one
that.
was about to watch two
the
guys run
XFL
50
is
yards
not
to go get a
going
football. It
to
was too
compete
gimmicky.
with the NFL. There's no way
They're not
it
trying
can.
to
It's not.
compete.
It doesn't have
So they're
to.
trying
It
to
doesn't have
compete
to.
with these secondary leagues like Arena Football and Canadian
Yes,
League.
that's the
Exactly.
platform.
Exactly.
That's
That's
going to
the
be the
difference.
platform.
Exactly.
and I
The
think it's
first
going to
time
end up
around,
just
Nate,
like
they were-
those.
Well, no. Listen to this for a second, Nate. The first time around, the XFL was indeed trying to go head-to-head because that's what NBC's desire was to do. So that's the problem. First and foremost, the biggest issue with the XFL, besides He Hate Me and all of the stupid rules and all of the let's be like wrestling but put the pads on them type of brawl for all bullshit, the NBC mismanaged that whole thing. It was NBC's venture that they paid Vince McMahon to put forth. So let's get that straight. A lot of people look at Vince McMahon and say the reason why I folded was because of He Hate Me and all these other things. No. So the second piece of this is I think he's not going to try to go head to head with the NFL anymore because that's stupid. I think what he's going to try to do is use all of these arena football pieces and all of these Canadian leagues and other things, even down to rugby even, to being feeders for the XFL and making the XFL the main feeder going into the NFL. That's what he's trying to do.
Yes. He's trying to create a
possible.
minor league. But how many people watch minor league baseball?
Okay, but let's go to that though. I don't think his ambition is to get viewership because arena football is incredibly popular. Okay, especially if you're in a city where they target. If you target the right cities that need it, for example, he was going after Las Vegas. I don't think he needs to go after Las Vegas, although I'm almost for certain he's going to end up having the Outlaws come back or something like that. But he needs to target cities that are off the beaten path of the NFL. He does not need to try to compete with them unless he's going to make it a purely off-season league. Okay, so if he goes at it from the aspect of arena football and doesn't try to do it for ratings' sake like NBC wanted, then he wins. All he has to do is put butts in seats similar to what WWE has done with their NXT product. NXT product is largely not shown on television. It's not something that a lot of people know about unless you're a hardcore wrestling fan. But if you go to the WWE network and you're subscribed, you can watch it whenever. And that's what's going to happen with this. XFL is going to be a program for the subscriber base of the WWE network. Okay,
and honestly,
so
second place to the NFL is not a bad position to be.
No,
like
not
the
at
NFL owns football. Like it's NFL and then college.
Yeah,
but like no one watches arena. Like when I say no one, you get what I'm saying. It's not a popular thing to watch. It's not a
no
popular
one
thing
watch
to
it
watch
because
the
it's
NFL.
not televised. So it's
exactly.
a live. It's purely a live event type of thing. It's super high scoring. It's something great to watch when you live in Columbus, Georgia, for example. Shout out to our homeboys down there in Columbus, Georgia. If you go there, they have an amazing, top-tier, amazing football league. I didn't mean to say amazing again. Arena football league. Okay, their football team has gone to the championship many times, and it's something great for that place. And they sell out, pretty much sell out their little arena over there.
That's a huge market. The secondary market is where businesses can thrive. Like Like if you're gonna create a new hot wing spot, you're not gonna go straight after Hooters and Buffalo Wild Wings. You're gonna like just think about anytime you hear about the best barbecue on the planet, it's some obscure place like Arizona or Montana because somebody took the great recipe from a popular city, they took it out of Memphis, Kansas City, or Dallas, and then they took it to a place that doesn't have barbecue like Idaho.
Yes.
And now it's the most popular thing in that city. They're gonna give Oklahoma City maybe a football team to actually cheer for other than the Sooners. You know what I mean? Give Nebraska a football team.
We'll see in 2 years. I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, you said it best. Vince McMahon has a lot of money, or you said it via chat, and I think that's just he's bored and he has a lot of money.
He ain't bored, dude. for Vince McMahon.
I don't look. 20 years later, no one was asking for this, and I don't think it's going to pan out to be much. And
that goes back to my conspiracy.
Are they going to go to Columbus to, compete against the Columbus whatever arena football team they have, or are they going to go to fucking? God, that thing takes forever.
That goes back to my conspiracy.
Or maybe we could get the Des Moines Blazing Saddles. Like, this is going to be fun.
My conspiracy theory.
I'm a big Iowa Barnstormer fan, Nate. Okay.
Yeah. But look.
Let's go to the Racine, Wisconsin Buckwilds. There we go.
Think about this, though. Think about this for a second. Vince McMahon.
It's not even going to compete with the NCAA.
No, guys, think about this for a second. Vince McMahon, for some reason, decided to risk a portfolio in the XFL back in the late 90s, early 2000s. That research came from somewhere. For him to return back to a failed business venture tells me two things. One, he's super serious and he's very committed to it no matter what. And two, that research holds up. Something about there being competition, and Derek spoke to this, and Larry also spoke to this. The NFL is in a much, and Alex too, I got to give Alex credit too, is in a much different place than it was 20 years ago. And there is definitely market share. I mean, this season, I said it in our previous episode, guys. Something about this season just wasn't there. Something about it, until we got to the postseason. Even think about the teams that made it to postseason, y'all. Like, something about this season wasn't clicking on all cylinders, man.
It wasn't the same NFL. Like, there. And honestly, I agree. I've had this feeling about the NFL over the past couple of seasons, just because we're before you know me, B. Like, before 5 years ago, Sunday was football. Like, if sports were being discussed, it was football, and anything else, I have zero interest. Now, lately, I've actually taken interest in other sports just because I'm like, I don't want to hear about this drama and unnecessary BS anymore. Week to week. And if Atlanta didn't make it to Super Bowl last year, I probably would have felt the same way. I bet that's the only reason you were invested. Even honestly, this year, I'll be fine even if I don't watch the Super Bowl. But I'm going to, because I want to see Tom Brady get a 6, and I want to see the Eagles lose. Like, I want to absorb that pain for them and send it out into cheers for me. But it just, something about it, the shine wasn't as shiny. It wasn't as interesting. I wasn't as vested.
Dude, Alex Maldonado, if you're listening to this episode, you're getting all kinds of gains on this episode, because I'm about to give you something else that I did not before admit to. Bitch, what? Without the XFL conversation, this thing that Alex said, he talked about how the business model of the NFL, if you think about it, it's kind of flawed, because they're largely in the real estate business. Okay,
they are.
It's all about
real estate and sponsorship.
Cities putting up an incredible amount of money for these money pits that will never break even. They'll never really make the money without them being county and city supported and being able to take advantage of grants and tax breaks and all of these other things that city governments are able to do. It wouldn't be a solvent business model. The XFL is going to threaten that. It's going to say, okay, we're going to rent out the same space, because they definitely could. They could rent out the same exact space for their Super Bowl or whatever it's going to be, and they would have no choice but to sell to them.
That's really right. And it would even behoove the NFL to even partner with or donate some too, just to even have it, because I can see a Hard Knock saying, hey, you may not have a place on our team, but you have our farm league and the XFL that we can go to, and that just be the drama thing. I don't care to maybe watch the farm league, and I may not watch the farm league religiously, but it's still the things that are on TV, the things that are people worried about. And we joked about it even before this. They want to see how you're living. They want to see that player that doesn't make it and see what his journey is and see what ends up happening to him. Even if it's something not of interest 3 months later, that's just what it is for that flash.
I can see a Netflix series about this, the making of it. I can see it.
Yeah.
And Nate would watch it. I love
honestly,
Nate did that mousy little smile once I said, and about it be a series Netflix creating. A Hard Knocks, I'm telling you, dude.
Nate, did you ever watch Slam Ball? I just need to know. Did you ever watch Slam Ball ever? Did you ever watch one game of Slam Ball?
I've never even heard of Slam Ball.
All right, that's what I need to know. So that means Nate will not watch XFL ever.
Oh my god, Slam Ball was.
Do you remember that?
Stupidest.
Like the only thing that came out of the
XFL
was the sky cams. They were the first one to use the cameras on the wires. Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
That's their lasting impression. Well,
we
got to
move on.
I mean,
but we got to move on to the rest.
I can't believe you didn't know about Slam Ball, trampolines, and basketball. What more could you ask for?
Trampolines. Anyway, anyone? Nate, nothing.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
I didn't hear you.
All right, we'll move on. All right, but that's not the only great thing about Vince McMahon's week. Okay. Vince McMahon also had the Royal Rumble. And the great thing, the Royal Rumble would be something that normally would be a hit or miss depending on what stars are doing well at the time. But the great thing about this particular Royal Rumble is it was engineered to take advantage of the Me Too movement. What they did this year is they had the inaugural women's Royal Rumble as the main event of the evening. 30 female wrestlers. 30. And dude, when I tell you this thing was exciting, I was going, as you guys saw, I went back and forth between the two different shows because it came on at the exact same time as the Grammys, which I think is smart because
you did hit that hashtag nerd, hashtag basic.
Exactly. Yeah, because there's certain types of people that would watch, the Grammys, and there's other certain types.
I caught it. I'm gonna let it slide. I caught it, but I'm letting it slide.
Almost had technical difficulty. And then there's other people that wouldn't watch it, and so it catered to that audience very, very well. While your mom is downstairs watching the Grammys, the kids are upstairs along with dad in the man cave watching the Royal Rumble, and rightfully so. 30 gorgeous yet powerful women laying the smacketh down. And before I tell you some of the awesome names that showed up in this because you're like, they have 30 female wrestlers. Oh, they reached back, dude. They did a hashtag TBT in the middle of this match. For the men's Royal Rumble, it was kind of lackluster. The only surprises that were there were Gregory Helms, which, if you remember, stand back. There's a hurricane coming through. He came back. What? Exactly. He came back as Gregory Helms, though. He didn't come back as Hurricane Helms. And Rey Mysterio, Mr. 619, came back. It was an okay match. I thought the men's match wasn't that great, but then it was time. They had their female wrestlers, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, started off their two brightest stars, in my opinion. Ric Flair's daughter, Charlotte Flair, is the SmackDown Women's Champion right now. So she was sitting out there, and they also had Stephanie McMahon kind of doing the commentating like her dad used to do back in the day. But listen to these names, dude. Not only did they have like the I'm going to say second generation. It doesn't mean second generation the way it's actually intended, but more so for people who were, if you were an Attitude Era watcher, I call you a first generation watcher, and then a second generation goes into the PG generation that came right after. So these names you may know, but you're not as excited about. But Vicky Guerrero came back, Kelly came back, Michelle McCool came back, Mickie James came back, and Beth Phoenix, which Beth Phoenix is basically the second coming of Joni Laura, Miss China. So it was really cool. But then they also had Molly Holly come back.
What?
Tori Wilson. Cousin? Tori Wilson. Jacqueline.
Jacqueline?
Lita.
Lita.
And Trish Stratus.
Oh, Lita, hold on. Before you continue, let me give a shout out to Lita for specifically having a real life drama between Edge and Matt Hardy. And shout out to Matt Hardy for taking that in the shorts and letting that bloodline and feud be
shout
legit.
out to Matt Hardy for
shout out to
becoming...
Lita for being the first thong I've ever seen, probably.
Dude. Lita was the biz nass, dude.
There was the Cisco video.
But what was cool is, man, is like, shout out to Matt Hardy for finally stepping out of his brother's shadow. You know, Jeff Hardy, because it was all about, it was a Jeff show for such a long time. And when Jeff ended up having to go to rehab, he got kicked out of the WWE the first time. And then he went to, not NXT, but Impact Wrestling. He then had the worst cringeworthy match of all time. It is the number one most cringeworthy, where he basically was on like Heron live on television and couldn't even wrestle. It was the worst. Terrible. Nate, have you seen that thing?
Mm-hmm. No.
Dude, terrible. See, Nate didn't even watch wrestling. And he knows about that.
I did. Yeah. I've watched wrestling, but I fell out of it over, I don't know.
Yeah, but my thing is, you even know about the Jeff Hardy, versus Sting match. I mean, if you don't even watch, you still know. My wife knows
body language. Sting's body language was just like, he looked like an angry parent. Like, really, Jeff? Really, Jeff?
Through all of this, of his brother just being booked over him so many times, he went over to Japan, fell in love with New Japan Pro Wrestling, worked with our Ring of Honor as well, and came up with the Broken Matt Hardy concept. If you guys have not seen Broken Matt Hardy, what's crazy about Broken Matt Hardy is that persona looks so much better than Jeff Hardy. He makes Jeff Hardy, these days Matt Hardy is the lead guy in the tag team, which is insane to think about. But like, Jeff Hardy looks so like lackluster, he doesn't have any mic skills compared to his brother. His brother, when he hits that, yes, it's time to delete your existence. I'm telling you.
The face that I'm looking at and the laugh you just did were perfect. Oh my God.
I'm telling you. Man, I'm just so for Lita, she actually came back, which was cool. Is she didn't come back as her rated R superstar persona. She came back as Team Extreme Lita. So she had the cargo pants, and it was
the black light.
Yeah, she kind of had some granny panty action going on. She traded that thong in for some granny panties. She's not as a toy guy anymore. So, but she did her thing. She put the smack down. Trish Stratus looks amazing. Like, she's definitely had work done, but it's been good work.
Thank you, Val Venus, for introducing me to Trish Stratus.
Ladies.
Okay. Hello,
TNA.
ladies.
I'm telling you, man. So that was amazing.
Yes.
And then,
dude, those are some monster names to come back. Like, dude.
And then on top of that, good on Vince McMahon, Triple H, whoever's doing the booking these days. They ended up having 2 Japanese wrestlers win both the men's Royal Rumble and the women's Royal Rumble. That is kind of crazy when you think about it. To put this in perspective, you guys are wrestling fans. All I have to say is Kai and Tai. Okay? That's what Japanese wrestling used to be about. Making them look dumb. Even though
Doshimashimashita.
Indeed.
Kai and Tai. Oh my God, I can't believe.
I'm telling you, dude. New Japan Pro Wrestling has become so mainstream. It used to be something that when we were in high school, we didn't really pay attention to because it wasn't accessible to us. But now New Japan Pro Wrestling has really reinvigorated what wrestling is all about. They got the best wrestler in the world, Kenny Omega, over there. If you guys have not seen Kenny Omega wrestle, this dude is Triple H mixed with Stone Cold in their prime. Like, this dude is actually, I'd say Triple H and Shawn Michaels put together. That's more apt. But yeah, so it's really cool. So Asuka, she ended up winning,
and he's from Canada. So what else?
Exactly.
You can't be mad at him.
Exactly.
He's Canadian,
and all of the best wrestlers come from Canada. the home of the driest soda of all time. But yeah, Asuka, she ended up winning the women's Royal Rumble and getting her chance at a match at WrestleMania. And Shinsuke Nakamura, he ended up beating both John Cena and Roman Reigns, which is insane. So it really was unpredictable for both of those people to win because Japanese and Polynesian wrestlers have a hard time getting all the way over. So it was really good on them for that. And then after Asuka ended up winning, you think the show is over. I literally turned it off, went back over to the Grammys. It was boring, so I turned back, and all of a sudden, I'm looking at WWE Network, and Ronda Rousey is in the middle of the ring pointing at the WrestleMania sign. I had to take it back, rewind it, take a photo of it for Instagram so I can make an awesome graphic, and Ronda Rousey is joining the WWE. It is crazy. People have been wondering where she's been. People wondering what happened to her after her second defeat in the Octagon. People have not heard from her, don't know where she's been. And then just out of nowhere, a tweet goes out from the UFC that Ronda Rousey is on Royal Rumble right now on WWE Network. Let's put that in perspective. The UFC plugged this. That means Dana White is a part of it. It's all part.
Oh, yeah.
That also means that means the relationship between WWE and UFC is getting even deeper. That's another reason why Nate,
especially how far this was in the shadows too. Just
that
to be
means
like,
that means they got something going on with cross promoting. If the XFL can get the UFC audience, man, it's yeah. So anyway,
well, I guess
really
you're
cool
gonna be
time.
curb your enthusiasm, Nate. Curb it.
Exactly.
I am. Trust me. I'll wait 2 years from now and let's see how this goes. I hope so. I can't wait for you guys to share your excitement about the XFL.
2 years from now, they'll be inviting us to the premiere of the XFL. And all right, that's what's good. That's what's the player.
It's a good old Des Moines, Iowa. Cradle of civilization.
That's actually, Nate, that's Salt Lake City, Utah. Get it right.
Clearly. And one of the most cleanest cities in the world. I will say that. Salt Lake
back
City,
in ancient America.
Cities in the world.
We'll be over at Brigham Young University bringing it in.
Brian Smith,
anyway.
BYU.
Exactly. So that's what went down. If you are listening to this and you're interested in the Grammys, we'll give you a couple of nods. You can get a little bit more information on my Instagram. That's at Playerway Podcast, the official Playerway Podcast Instagram on Instagram. And if you go there, you'll see that the best hip hop album, because that's the thing that I care the most about. Best rap album went to man, I might have a brain fart for a second. It went to Kendrick Lamar. So that went to him. And then for the rest of the night, pretty much Bruno Mars just pulled his penis out and just said, "It's the rest of this is all mine." And he did. He upset Jay-Z. He upset, Gaga. Anybody else who had any sort of dog in the fight was done. And shout out to Bruno Mars, man. He is definitely doing music.
The Player Way.
I think Bruno Mars is an incredibly talented dude. He has been for a long time. I feel like he's been snubbed for a long time because I feel like he's one of the only artists that 360 does everything. He writes his own music. He does he dances. He sings. He plays all the instruments. It's what Prince used to do. He took Prince and Morris Day and put them together, and that's him.
That is a great comparison, and that's accurate. And honestly, in this day and age, one of my random Instagram ramps are always, a lot of them are music related, but to have that level of talent, I'm glad that he beat out a lot of people, because honestly, today, man, if you have a beat machine, an auto tune, and a decent following on Instagram, then you're an artist. I'm not going to take much away from these just to use them as an example.
No, let's do it live. Let's do it live.
Okay,
don't worry about that. Let's power up.
let's take Migos for instance. They've been on the scene for about 5 minutes. Really, like what? Maybe 3 years, 4 years from their debut album. They've risen up the ranks. They've helped set the precedents and kind of fall down this trap mumble rap that's going on out there. They've even done their own like hip hop marriage with what's his name and Cardi B.
Take off.
Yeah, and
Offset.
And
Offset.
I know what you meant. Yeah, because she put that on Offset.
Yeah.
And but honestly, like someone like Bruno Mars can out talent every single aspect of Migos. Period.
Yeah, because they're very.
It's not even a compare. But back 25 years ago, you could have a musical talent similar to Bruno Mars versus an actual hip hop artist, and you would compare talent levels.
Well, let's take it a step further. I think the Migos is a great start, but let's take it a step further. Okay, Jay-Z with just by himself outperforms all three of the Migos. Okay, his latest album outperforms Migos. Okay, Migos is a great club crew, but they get outperformed by Jay-Z. But Jay-Z can't hold a candle to his own wife. Okay, and his own wife can't hold a candle, in my opinion, to Bruno Mars. So it's like the little fish gets eaten by the big fish, getting eaten by the bigger fish, getting caught by the man, getting chopped up on Las Vegas Strip. Like by a chopper.
It's always
it just keeps going on and on and on, and the circle of life goes on. So it's one of those things where exactly hip hop anonymous. But anyway, it's.
I just saw you were talking about that because you said a chopper in Las Vegas.
Hey, so we're looking at. Hey, the moment is gone. So no, but the thing about it is, when you look at like a hip hop artist, like you said, you can get a laptop, you can get some sort of software, you can get you a Kai beat machine. And you can go to town. And if you get a hit, you hit the right people, you can manipulate the system to corrupt the system, if you will, and make it to the top. And that's what the music business has become. It's all about how can I hustle the system with as little of education as possible and little as investment as possible and make it to the top. And that's what Migos represents. That's what Jay-Z represents. But then you have the next level up, which is Beyonce and the Mariah Careys. But the problem with them is they are still one-sided in what they can do. I mean, maybe two-sided, but when you hear about Beyonce writing a song and you hear her talking about it in a documentary, you don't really believe it because for the most part, the truth that she has written some songs. She has written some songs, but for the most part, she made it to the top by getting with like Rockwilder and these other Ray Shremmerd, all of these other producers, and making it that way and consuming the wave from these other people. Bruno Mars started his own wave. Like Bruno Mars engineered this Grammy win. He said, "Okay, I've been making these awesome albums. I've been writing these awesome songs, and I'm still not getting anywhere." He said, "Okay, I'm gonna create a lane for myself. I'm gonna take it back to nostalgia. All of these movies that are coming out and these video games, they're taking advantage of nostalgia. I'm gonna do it in music. No one else can take credit for that." He said, "You know what? I'm gonna take you all the way back to the 80s. I'm gonna make these old school music videos. I'm gonna do them in 4:3 aspect ratio. I'm gonna give them the old looking treatment." Okay, remember when we were in Atlanta, dude, and we were at the Ferris wheel and we were watching music videos of Bruno Mars up there, and it was just like this old school 4:3 aspect ratio. I was like, dude, that gives you like such a good feeling. And he reached the full potential of that when he did Finesse with Cardi B, and they did it on the set of In Living Color. It's like, okay, what is it like? All of this other music. You got 444 by Jay-Z. You got Damn by Bruno Mars. I mean, not Bruno Mars, Damn by Kendrick Lamar. You got even the new stuff that's coming out that's taking advantage of the Me Too movement. Music is so heavy. It's either super heavy on one hand, or on the other hand, it's overly whimsical and not much to it, which is the little pumps and Lil
21.
Yachty and all this other stuff.
Yachty's.
You know, in between there, right in the sweet spot of what pop music is about, the essence of it is talking about love, having the ballads, but then also having the fun stuff that still leverages the feelings of love. That's what pop music is all about.
That's right.
It's teenage love. And so he does that very, very well, and good on him, dude.
Dude, I mean, what did he get? 4, 6? Album of the year, song of the year, record of the year,
Those
best
are the only ones that
R&B
are
song,
televised.
best
He
R&B
probably
album,
got more than that.
best R&B. Man, that's incredible. Like, what an incredible. I'm glad it makes me hopeful for the music industry if somebody like him got actually recognized, because it just hasn't been that way. It just really hasn't.
It hasn't.
You know what I mean? And what's even more saddening is that this Grammys had so many less viewers than just even last year did. So somebody who was just of deserving, they couldn't even pull an audience just to even that. Then.
Well,
and
the
it was
show
much
sucked.
less.
The show sucked.
Dude,
I mean,
that's what
yeah, I mean, I'm giving you credit. I mean, you hit it right on the head. Not only could they not attract an audience, but if they even attracted an audience, what were they going to show
wasn't
them?
a product that yes, and
I mean, the
and
engineers, the audio engineers
Like-
sucked. The sets were basic.
Well, who watches the Grammys? I imagine it's just old people, young teenagers, adolescents, even young adults who are going to watch the Grammys.
I mean, based
Because
on
even
our
as I was
actual
growing up,
analytics show-
we didn't watch the Grammys. We watched the VMAs because it was cooler. You know,
Well,
I mean,
no one watches the VMAs.
Grannies
anymore.
was for old
VMAs
people.
are watched by kids now.
Back in the
for
day-
sure.
Well, I mean,
Back in the day,
I was a
VMAs
kid
were
when I
business.
did watch them. You
No,
know,
you
I
were
was
like
in high
an
school.
older kid, though. Like,
Yeah, but I gotta imagine that's the same sort of demographic the Grammys are probably trying to appeal to. Because
oh no, no.
unless
here-
they're trying to
okay,
get
so-
old people to watch it, then
So to put this in perspective, our analytics show that 68% of the people who listen to our podcast are men. All right, 32% are women. Okay, so shout out to the females that listen to the show. But obviously, we're going to tilt more toward men because that's our bread and butter. That's almost 70%, right? So, the Grammys. So to put that in perspective, that same demographic would be what watched the Royal Rumble last night, and then versus who didn't watch the Royal Rumble. And the 70% of women who didn't watch the Royal Rumble were watching the Grammys. So the Grammys is by and large women watch it, which is why if you did watch it, a lot of the messaging tilted toward the Me Too movement, heavily toward the Me Too movement, which is fine because I think there's a lot to be said. Shout out to Kesha for getting her time in the sun. Kesha was onto the Me Too. She was the Me Too movement a couple of years ago when people called her crazy.
Years, yeah.
People called her crazy. This is like Kesha was on it so early, like back. It was almost around
when
the
she
same
lost
time. About almost as the same time when Bill Cosby started being targeted. When she had her lawsuit and she was talking about going after her manager, you know, and so
and when
people
she
called
lost,
her crazy.
and she lost.
She lost.
She lost it.
And she
Like
lost
she
it.
that's what blows my mind. Like
So much
he
evidence.
admitted to it.
Yes.
She admitted to it. Like it wasn't a case of did he do it or not. He admitted to it, and she's like, I can't work under the conditions of somebody who has taken advantage of me sexually. He's like, whatever, and it was signed off on. Like it was sorry, you have to finish out your contract. And she's like, I'm not going to make music for this person. And it's great. It blows
crazy.
my mind.
And so it was great. It was a great moment for her to have her time to really just empower her and say, yep, we believe you. We're sorry. We should have believed you to begin with. But anyway, Nate, to go back to your point, that's who watches it. So if you're like, who watches it, it's because you're not the target audience. You were either watching
I don't think
Royal
I've ever
Rumble.
been the target audience. It's the same thing with the Oscars. Who really watches the Oscars?
I mean, a lot
Not
of
me.
people watch the Oscars, though. I mean, you're just not a part of the demographic. Like, I'm always very careful to say who watches something or who likes something or whether something is trash or not trash because there's a demographic for almost anything. Now, that's the reason why blockbuster movies are, like, exempt from that because they either busted the block or they were not able to perform under pressure. And, it's not about having a big yacht or a big boat. It's about the motion of the ocean. And if you can't move the ocean, you shouldn't have been in the sea to begin with. So those blockbusters are easy to dissect, but there is an audience for all of these shows, Nate, for sure. Like, for a lot, I know some people, I don't know if she's listening.
Well, they
but
certainly didn't tune out for this year's Grammys because it was the lowest rated Grammy ever.
Well, yeah, and that's because the quality of the show was terrible. It was just not a very good quality show, And then you combine that with CBS carrying it too, which CBS not only did they
which is the old person station already.
Yeah, because they had Bow Wow on the award show on CBS that one year, and he kind of screwed up. Award shows, the biggest problem. Nate, you want to know what the biggest problem with award shows and attracting people? It's got a lot less to do with whether or not there's an audience for it, and a lot more to do with the quality of the production. Is terrible. The Golden Globes is like the only award show that has quality like every single time. The Golden Globes has good ratings. Hollywood Foreign Press knows how to put it together. It is the one award show that seems to be fun to watch. VMAs is suffering. Teen Choice Awards suffering. All of these other award shows aren't doing so well aside from CMAs. Country music programming, bro, they winning. They still doing their thing.
Oh, no, it's that XFL crowd.
I'm telling you, dude. So anyway,
putting the system back together. That's neat.
Absolutely, man. a lot of really good stuff happening over the past weekend. Next week, if you didn't get something out of this, you definitely. I don't know what you're watching. Then maybe Nate. Maybe you were doing the same thing as Nate and going out and drinking and actually living your life rather than curating your media. But if you're the type of person who was sitting at home deciding which bag of potato chips and which remote to watch, then you've definitely had your media curated.
The Player Way.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
I'm yours. So we're coming up on the Super Bowl this coming weekend.
Yes, we are. It's
by the way,
6.
Rachel and I had a debate. Did anybody watch the Pro Bowl?
No one watches the Pro Bowl.
I told Rachel that.
I don't know why they even put the Pro Bowl on. The only good thing they did is move it in between the last week of the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Because historically, it used to be after the Super Bowl.
I remember the older days when you were really interested to see the actual competition, not the game, but like the quarterbacks all playing around who could throw the farthest, who ran the farthest, when they would make just like the actual seeing all the athletes play around, like those games and everything, accuracy and skills tests and everything. They tried to promote that this year, and it just wasn't a thing. It just wasn't a thing.
Because you know why? And here's my theory about it. It's because we don't want to see guys that didn't make it to the big game and see what their skills. Apparently, their skills weren't good enough. It's like, I don't want to see how well you can throw.
The thing is,
so it's a loser's game.
I'll sweeten the deal. For you. The Pro Bowl. The thing with the NFL, the NHL, the MLB, and NBA all do their All-Star in the middle of the year when it matters. The NFL needs to do this. They need to schedule everybody. Like, why do it? Like, I don't know why they used to do it after the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl ends, football season ends. I don't want to watch anything until I watch the combine, and then after the combine, I'm watching the draft.
And
after the draft, I'm ready for
getting
preseason.
to what I think should be between the Super Bowl and the AFC and NFC championships. I think they need to move the combine a lot earlier. I think.
Well, the combine's already in February. It's already in February.
It would be even better to see it the week between the NFC AFC championships and the Super Bowl. Think about the ratings, dude. That's what we want to see. I agree with.
But you got to think that's a lot of. It would take a lot, but I get where you're. Well,
I don't think it would take a lot.
Just
I
because
think if they stop focusing on the goddamn. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Let me calm down. If they would stop focusing on the Pro Bowl that no one's going to watch, they'd have plenty of resources to put it together.
Well, they also have like school schedules and everything to coordinate with, and actually flying out the kids.
The schools would make it work. The schools would make, especially considering,
of course.
especially considering that all of the bowl games have been played in college already. Like it's
and they've been over.
Exactly, dude. Like I'm telling you.
So that's where I think the NFL really fails. They should have the Pro Bowl, skills test, all the fun stuff, the All-Star thing
after the season.
Make it a fun weekend in the middle of the season. Why are they doing it at the end when no one? It's already over, and the players are like, dude, it's already over, man. Like why? Like
or do the
look
Pro
at the
Bowl,
NBA All-Star
or do the
turnout
Pro Bowl as the first game of the season. Do it.
Sure, yeah.
Do it to kick off the preseason.
But just look like all the other major sports, they do it when like it's kind of a mid-season break. Yeah. Let's see all the guys that we like. Let's see them have fun. Let's see just look at the NBA All-Star Weekend. That's a huge
it's
weekend.
So huge.
Like everybody's ready for the dunk contest. Let me see it. You know what I mean?
Bruh,
name one contest from the Pro Bowl weekend. No one knows. No one knows.
Derek is giving you hot sports opinions.
The player way.
Dude, I'm telling you, All-Star Weekend let me tell you how popular All-Star Weekend is.
Celebrities
is
go
so
just to be
popular
seen.
that it has become the replacement for the Freaknik that used to be here in Atlanta. It is International Hoe Weekend.
Because that's when your city used to be real sick.
I'm telling you, that's where you go to get the THICC. THICCs. Hashtag
4 pumps
IG Daily.
equal one load.
I'm
4
telling
pumps
you.
equal one load with its THICC.
I'm telling you, there's only one thing thicker than All-Star Weekend. And it's the abominable.
Is it a Snicker?
Snicker was a good honorable mention, though.
But the abominable snowman takes it, man. But that's I'm with you on it. They could do it. The NFL has the power to make so many easy changes for them. Just because you're right, everybody would bend to their will. Everybody would bend to the will of the NFL. Oh, let me give your school some publicity and your students and your programs. Okay,
you can
sign me
tell.
up.
Yeah, you can tell that the NFL suffers from both groupthink and we've always done it this way.
Yes, the worst thing. Well, yeah, they're the monkey still getting slapped for the water that's not there in that parable.
Like, is it really hard? Is it really that difficult to stretch the season out a little bit longer? Have less games per Sunday? And then that way we can have a longer season. Like, is it really that hard? I don't think it's that difficult.
The thing is
I mean that's what the whole strike is. They agreed with this with the players. I mean, you got the players union that wants the schedule like this.
Yeah.
Because they want to get away with some of the preseason games. Yeah, they need to get rid of stop having preseason be 4 weeks.
I mean, think about the ratings loss. Like, let's think about loss prevention. Let's think about how many games don't get aired in the right markets so that people can't see.
Nate,
what they
how many
wanna
Packers games did you see this year, Nate? How many Packers games did you see this year, Nate?
Maybe they usually play on.
Did you see
Fox.
all 16?
No, but I did maybe half of them.
That's 8.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
and you were probably probably saw every LA Ram game. I assume, obviously for your area, but
yeah,
you're right. If they stretched it out, they could do it in a longer season. And honestly, how many fans are not in the city that their team actually plays in?
Dude.
You know what I mean?
It's an internet.
Yeah,
I mean, the world is so small now. Like,
they got it. I don't know why the NFL doesn't become a subscription
the world is
service.
So small. Yes.
I would pay like
change, but
$250 a season just to be able to watch all the games I want. I don't know, but I mean that has to do with TV network.
Yeah, I mean, well, it goes back to what we just got through saying: doing things the way they've always done it. If it's broke, why fix it? If it's not broke, why fix it? But the thing is, that's the good is the enemy of great, in the words of Nas. Shout out to rapper Nasir.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's my thing, man. Is like I just feel like, and again, I still stand by this, and I'll stand by this to the day I die. That they need to have the best 2 out of 3 when it comes to, I get that football is a much harder game to play, so we can't do like a best of 5, a week-long series like baseball and basketball do, but we can at least do the best 2 out of 3 games Especially when we get to the championship.
We really
man.
could,
We
because
really could.
the phrase that I use so often is any given Sunday, because it could just be that Sunday. Heck, this Super Bowl could be that Sunday where the Patriots are off, like they were when they were 17-0 and went up against, or when 18-0 and went up against the Giants. They obviously had an off Sunday. They should have went perfect that season. The Eagles could go in there and stomp Tom Brady's mouth because of any given Sunday. But imagine if he came back and won, and now the series is tied 1-1, and now we have an all the marbles Super Bowl for the third game in the series. Well, they stomped them in the first one, but then, and plus, it'd give all the hype men more material to even hype the game up even more. I mean, that's one of the best things that the NFL loves to do: hype a game up, hype a storyline. All right, if you know this guy's, I'm not sure if you know, but Matthew Stafford went to Highland Park, and that's in Dallas, and here he is playing the Cowboys. Who cares about that storyline? But they do. It's their job to hype it up.
Yeah.
Get rid of just the preseason altogether. Just get rid of it, and let's stretch out the playoffs, and let's have the actual, from the AFC, NFC championships games, best out of 3.
I mean, you got to give it up to him. I mean, the man, you're watching the master at work, y'all. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, for the people that say you can't possibly stretch out the season another 4 weeks, how would they muster up the strength to do that? Well, you're making them work an extra 4 weeks to begin with.
Yes.
Okay?
It goes from August until February.
Why not start the season off without using Brady? Use the B team in the first couple of games, because you got more games to play. You can afford to risk. That gives more people playing time. Okay? That gives more people screen time. Okay? And it reserves your best players to the end of the season. Okay?
That's right.
And it gives us more entertainment value. I'm telling you, man.
They have so many options. They have so many skills.
I just want football to last till March. That's it. I just want it to last till March.
But just wait till 2020 when the offseason of NFL is on. You'll have that XFL to hold you over right to the Arena League.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Larry
saw the
Lewis
world turn in his eye socket.
I can't wait till the XFL crashes and burns again in a year. I really.
I want Nate standing there with the cigarette as he flicks it over toward the smoldering embers.
He wants to be the one that likes gasoline.
Yes, gasoline. I'm only burning my half.
And here we got starting quarterback Tim Tebow for the Des Moines Blazing Saddles. Tim Tebow couldn't hack it in the NFL, so here he is at the XFL. That's right, kids, you're watching Junior Varsity at its prime.
So disrespectful. So disrespectful. This dude.
What do you call like you
Put
see
some
it?
respect
Look.
on his name. You gotta have big grapefruits to try this again.
We watch football to watch the best of the best, which is why no one watches the worst of the worst.
I love that we keep bringing that one back every week. We find a way to make it work. Absolutely.
That's right. Hey, man, we made this work.
Absolutely, man. We make this look good.
That's the only difference.
Well, exactly. As we put sunglasses on. Well, before we neuralize the audience, is there anything else good for the order?
Nate,
mark your calendars, guys. XFL is coming in 2 years, and we're excited. Everybody should be excited. People of Iowa, people of Idaho, people of Montana, Dakotas. You guys should all be excited.
West Virginia, New England states are going to get a different.
No, you gotta get states like West Virginia has a college team, so it's good. Like you gotta get the teams that don't have a college team. Don't have any sort of team whatsoever.
Mississippi.
Yeah. M-I-S-S-I.
Crooked letter, eyes to the field. Oh.
Well, if we're really talking about what's most important coming up is we're right at the impetus of both the two most important seasons for hot-blooded American men, and it's Black History Month and Valentine's, and of course the best gift to give that person you love at home is a ticket to Black Panther. So that's coming up soon. So we're gonna be giving some hot sports opinions about Black Panther pretty soon.
Premiere's going on right now.
That's really what
I'm telling you, dude.
Man,
I mean,
going down.
it's kind of insane. It's kind of insane that this movie is upon us. It's got so much hype, and I'm really worried. Can it stand up to the hype?
We'll see. Premiere's going on right now, so
I know.
we'll get the first feedback later today.
I'll be excited. And I know anything good for the order. I'm really curious about this altered carbon business that comes out this weekend.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. It looks pretty cool.
Like it reminds me of a similar concept to Travelers, which Travelers is also on Netflix. I don't know if it's very similar concept since this one's in the future, the other one's. So I'm really curious to kind of see where they're going. Going with that.
It looks like it's gonna succeed where Westworld kind of failed a little bit. More of the haves versus the have-nots. What's the movie with Jodie Foster in The Ring, where you have to live to be able to afford to live on this ring?
Elysium.
Like Elysium, yeah. It's got a lot of Elysium beats in it where you're doing all this stuff to be able to afford to live a much better life. So the dichotomy of that, I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, a lot of really interesting things coming up pretty soon. I also saw, according to SB Nation News, the Clippers have agreed to a deal to send Blake Griffin to the Pistons. So that also is a bit of a breaking news as well. So we'll definitely, I know classically I've not been, I watch NBA, but I'm not like a fanatic about it. And I definitely am hardcore when we get down to the finals. I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely going to be trying to listen
same way.
And watch a little bit more NBA for the benefit of our sports rundown and our fans who listen every week. Because I do feel like NBA is a little bit more exciting than football right now.
And plus, man, you got plenty of games to choose from. Every other sport has so many.
And
like hockey is more intense than the NFL, and they have played 82
on
games
TNT.
Yes.
Dude, I mean,
Shaq. I love seeing Shaq and Charles go at it.
Charles Barkley.
Well, how many rings you got, Charles? Same as
they
me,
did the
Charles
one-chip
Barkley.
challenge?
You got as many rings as Derek Lewis.
Did you see they did the one-chip challenge?
Oh no, I didn't.
Dude, you gotta go watch it.
I'm
Dude,
queuing it up.
okay, so what happened was
right
the
now.
whole point was I think Charles Barkley had a bet with Shaq that Shaq couldn't eat the chip, not drink any water, and not react to it. And like Shaq was like, I eat hot food. I can do this. I do this all day. And so he went and took a bite of the chip, and and it is I don't even want to spoil it. Listen,
all right, I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up right now.
In fact,
right now,
when you look it up, post it to our Play Your Way Network Facebook page. Okay,
gotcha.
Share that with that. So if you're listening to this, you can watch that. Scroll down. We'll try to get this episode up as soon as possible so that's still fresh on that timeline. But incredibly fun things coming up within sports. We didn't talk heavily about movies. We kind of did. We talked a little bit about movies and Netflix. So we got you right where you wanted to. Also, we'll probably be talking a little bit more about some upcoming things on Netflix next episode. Really interesting show about drug dealers. There's this Netflix docu-series about the greatest drug dealers of all time. Have y'all watched any of that?
Was that the Dirty Money one?
No, I was going to reading my mind.
Man.
Dirty Money was the second one I was going to mention. Another good one.
Yeah.
Man. So, yeah, there's a lot of really good docu-series. So maybe next episode we'll talk about docu-series. And we still owe the audience the best villains of all time. We need to do that as well. We're going to do the top 5. So anyway, lots to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, with all due respect, thank you for joining us on once again, Patron once again. I have been your resident podcast DJ, helping you understand how to curate your life in media
The Player Way.
with amazing assistance from my co-captains, Nate.
That's me. Excited about the XFL.
There you go. And Derek.
That's me. Corrupting the system, you already know. Look for wild idiosyncrasies and random rabbit holes. But hey, if you can keep up, stay up. And then show up so you can be up and drink some 7-Up.
That's right. Definitely show up to Instagram. We keeping it hot and fresh out the kitchen every single week, week in, week out, day in, day out on IG, so you can keep up with us and absolutely listen and watch, because we got things to listen to. We got podcasts. Shout out to Weekly Games Chat. We got the Play Away podcast. We got everything to read on playlifeyourway.com, playawaypodcast.com, playyourwaynetwork.com. Any of those URLs will get you right to where you want to be. And definitely go on to our YouTube channel, Play Away Podcast, because we definitely continually have the Captain's Challenge, where you can see Derek, Nate, and I eat hot stuff. You'll only see one episode of Nate doing the spicy noodle challenge. You'll see Derek and I do the one chip challenge, and you'll see me this week. Coming up this week, you're going to see me do the Hot Ones, The Last Dab. With Hot Ones, First We Feast on Complex coming back this season. They've had only one episode thus far. This week, I guess today they came out with another episode, and their new sauce featuring Pepper X, The Last Dab. I'm going to try that. Supposedly, it is a pepper that is hotter than the Carolina Reaper. So you're going to want to see me take that dab. It is definitely going to be hotter than the one chip challenge. So let's get out of here, guys.
Oh.
Any last words,
That was me
Derek?
scrambling to leave. That was me scrambling to leave. Last words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are not created equal. You have three amazing captains here. We have BK all the time hitting you with the hotness on IG. Like, if y'all haven't seen those stories, man, I just got to give you a shout out right here live on the podcast. And we got Nate. This is one of the most talented graphic artists I have ever seen. He does it effortlessly. His modesty knows no bounds, if that phrase can even be applicable here. It's ridiculous. And if you praise him, he's just like, yeah, it's no big.
And Nate and I are the respective drummer and bass guitarist of the group. Our lead front man being Mr. Corrupt in the System himself, Mr. Axl Rose, more like Mr. Axel Foley with a cowboy hat. So yeah, that's what we got. Nate sent us home just right.
Death Wish March 2nd, yo.
Corrupted the system at the end.
Peace
That's
out,
the
Rabbit.
best. I did not see that coming at all. Crazy.
That's awesome. Oh, I didn't see that coming.
That was great. Hey, Death Wish, XFL, get it all here.
Thanks for listening to the Player Way podcast. Recorded in a single take from Los Angeles, California, Dallas, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia, by Nathan Peterson, Derek Lewis, and BK Jackson.
And I'm Darren Marlar, the majestic voice of the Player Way podcast.
Our opening theme is titled Bound by Ricky Remedy, courtesy of Elysian Records. And our closing theme is titled Coconut King Diaries by Xander, spelled Z-A-H-N-D-E-R. You can find this music by both Ricky Remedy and Xander, and many more tracks on SoundCloud. And remember, no matter what choices you make or paths you follow, just make sure you do it
The Player Way.
See you next week.